When I was a kid, 4 years old, I wanted to be a rabbi. And everybody laughed, right? There were no women rabbis. What are you talking about? Girls can't be rabbis. And my parents would, they wouldn't make fun of me. They would pat my head. Isn't that adorable? Naomi wants to be a rabbi. Why did I want to be a rabbi? I can't tell you exactly, but I can certainly tell you that I was raised in a home where Judaism was a source of joy. And particularly my father, he would schlep me to shul every Shabbos, and I would just sit there playing with the strings of his tallis, and he taught me how to pray, and he was a really incredible person. And people would laugh when I say I want to be a rabbi, but I was deadly serious. And I believed that one day I would be a rabbi. When I was 15, my father was murdered in a mugging in Brooklyn. And as you can imagine, so many things died. Obviously, my father died, and he was really the light of my life. But our family died in some way at that time. All holidays died, because how do you sit at a holiday table when somebody so important to the table isn't there? And my faith in the police died because the police were never able to find the man who shot my father. My faith in doctors died because my father was raced to the hospital, but doctors weren't able to save him. The 15-year-old kid who I was prior to that, this bubbly kid who knew exactly what she wanted, she died too, and I didn't know if I'd ever get her back. And in some ways, my mother died. Because she was not the same woman right then after that. But one other thing died that I never imagined would die for me, and that is God died. I just couldn't understand how the God I loved, the God I believed in so deeply, the God who I had been taught to believe in, would permit such a horrible thing to happen to such a beautiful person. And I walked around feeling very alone and very angry for a long time. And it was really years later that I started to see that maybe it was my idea of God that had caused me to hate God so much. This idea that God was Superman and that we were all Lois Lane, and that if we just cried in the right way, then Superman would swoop down to destroy bad people and to protect and defend good people. And I realized that evil prevention was not necessarily God's job description. That wasn't on God's business card. And once I could stop hating God for not preventing my father's murder, I could start listening to God again. And suddenly, I found a new faith, a new understanding of God. And suddenly, the yearnings of a little girl who wanted to be a rabbi bubbled up inside me, and I became a rabbi. I was very fortunate that in my senior year of college was the year that the Jewish Theological Seminary voted to admit women into the rabbinate, and I was at the seminary in the first class of women to enter the seminary, and there I was. I became a rabbi, which for me was like completing a circle. It was like coming home. And as a rabbi, I could tell you that I was most drawn to people who had suffered. I became a congregational rabbi, and the stories that people would tell me, I was counseling people. I was counseling Holocaust survivors. I was counseling rape victims. I was counseling parents who had lost a child. I was dealing with people who day to day were suffering. And I realized as a rabbi, I was just 26 years old, but I realized something. I realized up to then, I had really felt alone in my suffering, and I suddenly realized we're all the same. We're all going through the same thing, and we're all making the same journey from darkness to light, and my congregants really became my mentors. I was there. They hired me to be the rabbi, but I don't think they ever understood how they were teaching me and what they were teaching me and the strength that I saw in them and the power and the light. And To Begin Again is a book that emerged from years of service as a congregational rabbi, and it merges my own story with the stories of the congregants who were my inspirations. So it is a journey. It's the subtitle is The Journey Toward Comfort, Strength, and Faith in Difficult Times. And To Begin Again is a book that traces a journey from darkness to light and really offers the steps. How does one go about putting your life back together when you've been through something very difficult? And how do you find your way back to life, back to faith, back to joy? That's what To Begin Again is.